Hello, this is Jane Stavum, Superintendent of the Sioux Falls School District, and this is our podcast. Join us for an audible look inside the Sioux Falls School District, where we'll put a spotlight on the people, places, and practices of our district. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to our podcast. I am here at Hawthorne Elementary, and I can breathe again because I just came up 3 flights of stairs. Because we all know that this building is the best one for physical fitness in addition to teaching children. So we are in Kathy Dang's classroom, and that is one of our favorite places usually in a school is the art room. So Kathy, thank you for having us.
Thanks for being here.
Also with us is Allison Struck. Allison is the director of our Sioux Falls Education Foundation, and we'll come back to that in just a minute, but it's fun to have you both. So Kathy, let's start by how did you become an art teacher? Like, why art?
Yeah, well, that's a really good question. Art was not my original vocation. I knew I wanted to be a teacher. I grew up with a sister that had special needs, and I just loved accommodating for her and finding things that we could do together. And it wasn't until I was at Augustana University and 2 amazing women changed my life. Julie Ashworth and Becky Fiala, professors at Augustana. They were like, hey, have you ever thought about art? You're kind of a funky, spunky gal, and you seem to have some art skills. And I always loved art and loved taking art classes, but I grew up in a small town and athletics reigned supreme. So I never thought art was something I could go into. So those ladies changed my life. And I actually came to this very room at Hawthorne Elementary for my first practicum.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And the art teacher that was here, Lisa Brunick, she's been my mentor ever since. And she really changed my life. I remember standing in this very room teaching my first art lesson, and that's where it all began.
I think we all as teachers have that first moment. I talk about the first music classroom. I was half my day music, half my day regular ed, and so it was all occupied and bustling. It was 2 weeks into the year, but they took me to my music room, and when the principal walked out, she shut the door, and I just remember standing there going, now what?
Yeah.
Like this big empty room. That's really fun. And so you said you were from a small town. I know I was from a small town, and I had to choose between, I was a music kid, so I had to choose between band and chorus or art. But we had a little hiccup one year with our music teacher who was new and somehow didn't stay very long, and I took art for a semester, and it was really fun. But sometimes we have those choices with the fine arts. Would you call yourself an artist?
I am.
What's your medium? What do you
have a ceramic studio in my garage, so we kind of dabble around with that. And I have a little 4-year-old, Marty, and he's my young apprentice, and he comes in there and helps me do some stuff. And sometimes we have some studio accidents, and we work through those together. So ceramics is my forte, but art really bleeds into every area of my life, from cooking to gardening to teaching, and I think the greatest of the arts is teaching, and it's just one of those things that I do love to think about it in an artful way, and like, how can I fine-tune things to make the best experience for my students.
If we notice that art isn't just about everything, and it's fun when you kind of view the lens through that, but you must have figured it out, because last year you received a really nice honor as a statewide elementary art teacher of the year. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I was nominated by a colleague and recognized by the South Dakota Art Association. And I won the elementary art teacher of the year. So the kids are still like, where's your trophy?
I'm still rooting for it myself.
So such an honor, and
it puts you in the running for
and so now the National Art Education Association will have my name, and then they'll kind of be another competition. So
that's exciting.
Not always, us art people aren't always into competitions, but that was a fun one to win.
It's always nice to win, especially if you didn't have to do the work to fill out the paperwork. That's even better. Well, that's really wonderful. And I know you've spent some of your time down at IPC where I work, and even there you were helping us to be artists and really gathering people and creating a shared experience is a lot of what art is about. In fact, on my wall I have one of those things where you just simply had everybody come in and do a square, and I thought it was so beautiful that it landed on the wall. So thank you for doing that even with adults.
Totally.
I think that's one thing that we know about art is that art evokes emotional responses. When you're with a room full of children and you have little ones all the way through 5th grade here at Hawthorne, tell me a little bit about what you see happen with children when they come in to do art. It's not just painting and doing crafts. What is it to you?
Well, I think art is really like that great equalizer, and it's cool to see how students can use their creativity and their past experience to execute a prompt. And I just love seeing that creative mindset that students have, and also those aha moments that happen in the art room are just so prevalent and beautiful and at their own level. And whether it's a student that can finally use their scissors the right way or close that glue bottle on their own, or the kids that are just so independent and they know how the art room works as like a studio space, and how I can watch students K through 5 kind of cultivate those skills. And I get to see them year after year, which I also love, because I get to watch them grow from kindergartners to 5th graders. And it's just an honor to be a part of that experience.
I think it's one of the most fun things about being a specialist is that you get to have them each year, and that's unique unless you move grades as a classroom teacher. Talk about the cultural experience that kids bring to the classroom, and how does that emerge when you're doing an art lesson?
Yeah, well, I think that's another really cool thing is we do get to dive into different cultural art experiences and learn about art from around the world and talk about different artists. And I just think it's a really easy way for kids to connect with what's happening in the art room, because you know, they see something or they recognize a fabric from their culture, from their country, and just like how that brightens their eyes up and just makes them feel like I am a part of the art world.
It's such a great opportunity for that blending to come in so many different ways. And I know you have some really great events here at Hawthorne that focus on cultures, which always means, like you said, textures and textiles and colors and smells and sounds. And it's such an interesting way to learn about each other. So I'm glad that you've been able to work that into your classroom experience. Can you think of a student along the way who maybe was that special art talent? Have you come across anybody who had like a really unique gift?
You know, I think every year there's a student that just wows me, that it's just like they can do things that I don't teach them. They can do things that I haven't asked them to do, but they can just always extend and take that above and beyond. And I think for them to be recognized in the art realm is so important, because quite often those students aren't feeling like that in their other content areas. So when I can celebrate a student's art skills, that makes me feel so good as an educator.
It's always good to have a spotlight here and there.
Yeah.
And yet, you know, you're trying to value everyone's art, but I know there are sometimes just really extremely talented students, and sometimes we don't see that until we have some of our high school art shows, which may be a little bit more public display, but we also have elementary art nights. Tell us about that. Those are some really fun events.
Yeah, well, we have a success night here that we pair with our art show, and we use it to celebrate the Circle of Courage, which is our school framework. So using that and bringing families in and showing them just what our school is about through our artwork is so amazing. And I think it's been some of our best turnouts for school events is those art show nights, because it's just something to come look at, something to show. And it's really cool how, like, even if you don't put a name on the front of it, kids can walk up and say, that's the one I made. And how special is that like those are part of their experiences and ingrained so deeply that even if there's a bunch of art on the wall, they know which one is theirs.
you'll find a special art piece on my shelf right now, because last year I attended an evening art show, and I had commented to a couple of staff members, there was just this one piece. It was actually ice cream cones, and it was doing the depth and the shading, and so it looked three-dimensional, and they were so good. And lo and behold, a couple mornings later, a student came over and gave me her art piece, which is very special, because we know it's kind of hard to part with those things we create. And so that was a valued treasure I will keep for forever.
So special.
It was very special. So it's fun when kids feel that. And I think it's really great how our community showcases the arts. Are you involved in the downtown art scene here in Sioux Falls? Tell us what that means to you.
Yeah, well, I have always been a supporter of the music and the arts in Sioux Falls, and not being from Sioux Falls myself, I really do call this home, and I just love how we celebrate the arts in our community. And I am going to be a part of the visual art committee through the city that's starting soon, so I'm really excited to extend that reach from my classroom, also the school district, and now kind of focusing on the needs of our city. And I just think we have something really special in Sioux Falls, and I always tell people, like, not only are we a refugee center site in our city, we have a high Native population, and we celebrate that through our art, through our music, and especially our teachers in Sioux Falls School District, and especially the art staff. The caliber of what is happening in our art classrooms in the Sioux Falls School District is very high. And getting to see how our teachers celebrate student differences and individuality and all of those things just makes me really proud to be in Sioux Falls.
It's a culturally rich community, and I think every healthy city has to have a healthy arts component. And we have so many examples of that. Just the art show last weekend that was downtown, in addition to our sculpture walk and the pavilion and everything that comes through in some of our venues. So when we think about the arts, many times people will hear school districts are cutting the arts. Are we cutting the arts here?
We are not.
We are not.
The arts.
Thank you.
Yes.
Does everybody hear that? Nobody has said we're cutting the arts.
Loud and proud. Not cutting the arts.
And not only are we not cutting the arts, because it's glorious. We have such a healthy, thriving program, and so much so that we were recently called out in a very special way, which is why Allison's here. We received a gift. And so Allison, tell us kind of how that happened and what that gift is for.
Yeah, so the Sioux Falls Public Schools Education Foundation was the beneficiary of a $100,000 gift from the James and Marlene Winker family. They were living in Sioux Falls. They raised their children here. Marlene was an aspiring artist, and so as a way to honor their parents, their children made a $100,000 donation to the Sioux Falls School District, and the purpose is that we use it to enhance visual arts programming. And so we just last week announced that 45 art teachers were each getting $200 Replenish the Room grants. So those checks are going out next week, and then we will use the majority of the rest of the funding for Public School Proud Grants in the spring. So Kathy has won a couple Public School Proud Grants from us. Just got a Replenish the Room grant. So we're kind of come full circle being here at Hawthorne.
Yeah.
And they were a family, their parents were very much into hot air balloons, correct?
Yes.
Are we working the hot air balloon thing in? Because I'm thinking like, there's an art project there with colorful balloons or something.
Absolutely.
I'm thinking we need to maybe do a commission piece for the family as a thank you.
Yeah, so Shane and I have been talking about some ideas, and he's been talking to our teachers too. So we'll have something special for the family,
something
just as a
rise.
recognition. Absolutely, something will rise. Yes.
Yeah, well, it's lovely because we got to meet with the family, and Allison and the whole family invited some of us to come and be part of the check giving, and they are lovely people who are very intentional about wanting to support children in the arts, and I think that is a very noble and worthy cause, and we're grateful for their gift. And so Replenish the Room is great, and then what happens beyond that will be really fun to see, because the creativity in this district is off the charts with our arts program, so that will be great. I just think maybe one thing to close with, Kathy, as you think about the future of arts, what's one hope or a wish that you have for arts for children?
Yeah. Well, especially thinking about my own son that's going to be joining the Sioux Falls School District next year as a fresh and ready kindergartner. I just want every single kid to have an experience to feel creativity, to experience different materials, and there's no better way to have hands-on experiences than in the art room.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm so grateful to be an art teacher and get to share those amazing experiences with my students. And I often think about how a lot of my students, their very first art experience was with me. Mm. And what a huge honor that is for elementary art teachers, especially, that we get to be the first ones to show them like what this world is like. Mm-hmm. And I even think about myself as an adult. Like, I have had so many opportunities and experiences that have been plopped in my lap because I have art experience. Mm-hmm. And had I not had those experiences before, it's like I've been asked to teach camps. I've been asked to do the podcast. Mm-hmm. I've been asked to do all these specialty things because being an artist is a specialty. Mm-hmm. And I want all students to be able to experience that. And, you know, coming from a small town, like, this is not what art education was like in my small town. And I feel honored that I get to be the art instructional coach, and I get to go around and I get to see amazing instruction happening in art rooms, and I get to see the amazing things that these students are creating that I would have never dreamed of making that in high school. Mm-hmm. So I'm just really proud of all the work that we're already doing, and I know that we're on a really amazing trajectory. We have a great team in the fine arts. Shane Webben, our fine arts coordinator, is an arts advocate. He's amazing to work with. Mike Bossman, he's our music coach. He works so hard and a huge advocate of music education. And it's just something that strengthens our district. It strengthens our student experience, and the arts strengthens our community too.
I think I can almost drop the mic after that one.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
A great shout out to everybody. It's so valuable, and it breaks down so many barriers when children are able to just come in and experience it. And our art teachers make it look so effortless. But you think about class after class after class during the day, and having paint ready and cleaning things and table prep. I mean, the prep that goes into teaching art day to day is just really amazing. So we're grateful. Yeah. We also need our future educators to want to be art teachers. So hopefully many of our art teachers are taking on student teachers, and that we're encouraging people like yourself who may not have thought about being an art teacher to maybe consider branching off and being a specialist, because it's a lot of fun.
It is.
Well, thank you to you both. We're happy that we can get a little quantum boost. And Kathy, thank you for all you do. And to our art teachers across the district, we're grateful for your service.
Definitely. Thanks for having me.